Good afternoon, everybody. It's me and another episode of my bullshit. Um, I thought today I'd talk about something that's near and dear to my heart, gay marriage. And I think I can talk on that. It's something that I'm actually involved in. And I hear that it's under attack. So I wanted to get into that because I look online and I see Facebook posts of people in my community who are in actual fear. And I'm not downgrading their fear at all because fear is real to the person that's fearing, right? It's they're fearing things that are real to them. Information that they're being fed, information that they're being given. Sometimes that fear is irrational. I've been in imminent danger. I get fear, but I don't allow irrational fear anymore in my life because it gets me nowhere. And it is no place for any forward thinking or progressiveness. So fear is something that I'm going to get into. You know me. If I see something that doesn't jive, I'm going to research it. So we have three branches of government. We have the legislative branch, which makes the laws. We have the executive branch. They carry out the laws. So, Then we have the judicial, which evaluates the laws. Of those three branches, the most powerful is clearly the judicial because they don't have terms. They're appointed by the president for life. So it makes them very powerful. So I cannot discount this nominee and what she means to the Supreme Court. So I get into watching all the hearings every day, watching this woman, watching them grill her, watching her answer the questions, watching her not answer questions that they're asking her that she cannot answer because she's the justice that may preside over cases like that. So let's go back to the beginning of all this Supreme Court gay marriage stuff. So there were like 4 states. I'm sorry, I have to look. There were like 4 states that had 4 different cases between 2007 and 2013 that bubbled up with appeals and overturns and all these legal terms. I'm not a lawyer. And it all bubbled up to the Supreme Court of the United States. Supreme Court of the United States takes a look at it, and they ended up, after a whole bunch of shit was filed, cases came together in front of the U.S. court. Sidebar. In 2013, while all this was going on, our Democratic president, Mr. Bill Clinton, signed the DOMA Act, the Defense of Marriage Act, defending the marriage definition to be between one man and one woman. You can imagine how happy the community was when in 2015 the Supreme Court of the United States determined that denying gay marriage was against the 14th Amendment. Now, the 14th Amendment is about citizenship and equal rights. And went against due process. So denying our rights went against that due process. You can't deny someone equal rights and opportunity to life and liberty and property. So we now have that fundamental right. It's now a decision by the Supreme Court, which is now precedent, which they take very, very seriously. Again, a huge win in 2017 when the Supreme Court of the United States makes legal gay marriage in all states in the United States. Now, another sidebar is that there are still 9 counties in the United States that choose to not give marriage licenses to same-sex couples. And their states allow them to do that. So the same-sex couple has to go to a different part of the state to get married or get a license if that county allows them to without living there. The catch-22, really equal rights? 9 counties refuse to do it. So now we've gone over that there's lawmakers, there's law enforcers, and there's law interpreters. The Supreme Court of the United States is only going to get involved if there is a decision that they need to make with a case that's brought before them. The way I see it, the media and the leftists are saying that gay marriage as a whole is in jeopardy of being rolled back. Our rights are being in jeopardy of being rolled back. And the fact is that the case before the Supreme Court right now that they are going to rule on, that's in front of them to rule on, is the fact that when gay couples go to foster a child from Catholic services, and Catholic services denies them that right. So pro-gay advocates are saying that it could trickle down to homeless shelters, food banks, services, gay, lesbian, trans, plus people not being able to get services and being discriminated on the basis of religion. Bottom line is that they made two rulings that kind of conflict, so now they need to rule on that. So what they're ruling on is whether gay couples or gay people, same-sex couples, can adopt, foster, get services from Catholic services. Well, in all essence, Catholic services has the right to their beliefs, their religious beliefs. It's protected by the Constitution of the United States, which is an awesome document. I've read more of it than I ever have. But also, gay marriage has a precedent as well. And we have the right to services. But do we have the right to make religious organizations give us those services? That's the question at hand. I used to be pretty religious. Every Sunday went to church, the whole 9 yards. My first marriage was in a church, and I was part of a church family. It was my own type of church. It was a church that was gay affirming. It was a church where love is love. It was a church where I was taught that God is merciful, God is kind, God does not discriminate. And if you're discriminating in the name of a God or a book that wasn't even written by a God or a Jesus, it was written by people. If you're discriminating or not giving services to these people that need services, just because they may be LGBTQ, forgive me, I can't keep up, but you are not godly. That's the bottom line. God is love. God is light. That's what I learned. I'm no longer religious because I don't really fit within the confines of a religion. I'm very, very spiritual. And that's a very, very different thing. And I still don't believe that any God or any Jesus that was a healer, that gave, things to people, lepers, helped everyone, that he would be discriminatory towards someone who needed food or a place to stay, or who had a stable family home life for a child who needed a stable family home life, especially if that child is of LGBTQ persuasion. So I guess is what I'm saying is the law, and there are checks and balances for a reason. The Constitution is a great document, and the greatest thing about it is it can be amended. And I believe that amending the Constitution is a way for us to right the wrongs of the way the document may have been written by the way minds were way back in the day. It's made to be amended for judicial progression of the times. I believe that that's what it should be used for. Another important thing is that, the justices take precedence into consideration in a very heavy way. Another thing that they take into consideration in a very, very heavy way, I learned, is the way that people have structured their lives around the decisions that the Supreme Court has made. That is a huge weight on the decisions that they make as a Supreme Court. That's why you see conservative judges voting against their beliefs as conservatives or against their beliefs as liberals, because you're not supposed to be voting for your beliefs as a Supreme Court justice. You're supposed to be voting about the letter of the law as a Supreme Court of the United States justice, and that is a fact. So honestly, the fact that that fear goes so deep within people made me want to do this research, made me want to dig and dig and dig and dig, and find out the truth about what I had forgotten about the U.S. government class I took in high school. Who hasn't forgotten all that? So we have to brighten ourselves up, and we have to think about logically how our fears actually turn out in the world so that we can turn those fears into power. Because I believe that that's the only way that anybody is going to get through their personal fears having to do with the presidency or the SCOTUS nomination or, their job or whatever the case is. I myself have been fired for the way I look, the way I talk. I lived in a Republican state for a very long time. They were not at all shy about the fact that I did not fit their mold, and that's why I needed to be dismissed. They weren't shy about it at all. Um, I'm lucky enough to be in a state right now where I'm protected. I'm protected. Nobody can mess with my job because of my sexuality. Nobody can discriminate against me because of my sexuality. And now in 2020, the Supreme Court did another awesome thing and made it so that no one can do that in the whole United States. Not just Democratic states that have passed it and protected their states, but this is national now. So this news is awesome. And all of this good news, came from a Supreme Court. Not one man, not one president, but a Supreme Court who should be just and fair to the letter of the law. And I want to get people in there that are solid, like ACB, who can do that. I don't really agree with term limits not being enacted. I believe that there should be some kind of term limit discussion. I know there's reasons why there's no term limits, and I have to delve into that research because I think that we need fresh people in there. She's a little young. One of my friends, one of her main concerns was that, Amy is young. Well, she is. She is, approximately my age, a little older maybe. I don't remember. Well, maybe I'm older than her. I don't even know. But either way, she is of amazing character and amazing strength. And you have to have justices that are unbiased and can read the letter of the law. And I also believe that her age is a plus for her because there's a more progressive view, even though conservative in the way she believes. I believe there's a more progressive view there because she's got a younger perspective and she's not 80 years old and have her morals and standards back from the 1950s and 60s. So that's where I stand on Amy Coney Barrett. We've built our lives around each other. We got married. We got different jobs. One of us chose to take the health insurance at one time. When that situation changed, the other one was able to pick up the health insurance because we're married and we have the rights and the responsibilities of a married couple. Now, if they were to roll back those rights, they would need to do a lot about all the ways that we've structured our lives around the privileges of being married. I'll leave you with a couple things. I have, like I said, religiously watched the proceedings of the courts hearings. And if you've watched Amy Coney Barrett, you have listened to her responses and you have taken the time to understand why she doesn't answer questions that she doesn't answer, and taken the time to really take a look at her and how methodical she is and how she answers the questions that she's asked, that she's permitted to answer. If you've actually looked at her words and her decorum and the way that she has a multiracial family and she understands that equal rights are very important, and she said with her own mouth to my own ears that she is not looking to roll back the rights of anyone. She's not. So if you did watch this and you really watched it with a nonpartisan frame of mind, you understand the heart of this woman and the integrity of this woman and the 30 years of background that this woman had to provide gave nothing to me to fear that she would overturn an existing precedent that people have totally and completely built their lives around. That's not what the Supreme Court does, nor is the Supreme Court supposed to be partisan. They're supposed to rule on the letter of the law. If that law is to be changed, it needs to go to the branch that makes the laws to change the laws. So this is why I am so very confident that my marriage rights are solid and intact and are not going anywhere. I believe that my right to be married to my wife is just as solid as your right to be married to your wife or husband. And with that, you all have a beautiful day. Feel free to comment. Feel free to let me know how you feel. I'm just going with the actual facts and of the cases and the facts of the law and the facts of how decisions are made and how laws are made, and how precedent is important, and how people's lives built around these precedents is of utmost importance to this judicial team. Have a wonderful day. Treat each other with kindness, because it's really a cruel world out there.